Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how many herbs I can harvest from this tiny little rolling herb planter in just a few minutes. Are you ready? My name is Nicole Burke. I'm the owner of Gardenary Incorporated. Garden plus ordinary equals Gardenary. Our goal at Gardenary is to make gardening an ordinary part of your everyday life. So whether you're a beginner gardener who's just starting out, an experienced gardener who wants to start to teach others, or somewhere in between, Gardenary is the place for you. So be sure to subscribe to the Gardenary channel, hit the bell so you know every time that we drop a new video, and stay tuned because we got amazing garden content coming your way this season. I am still literally catching my breath from pulling these pounds of soil and plants. So let's get started harvesting. I'll use my hands instead of my mouth and show you what you can harvest in a very short period of time from this small herb planter. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna put my little thingy up here or down here somewhere. I'll put it right here on the edge. All right, this bed is planted with all kinds of herbs and we can harvest from them again and again. So I am gonna start here in the front with chives. Chives are one of the easiest herbs to grow and you can cut from them again and again in your herb garden. So I'm just gonna grab these like so, take them and put them on my tray. So I'm gonna tie all of my herbs up with some twine today. I'm doing that so that I can hang them if I want to, and really just to keep them organized. Some of these are gonna be hung and some of these will be used right away. So these chives, I am likely going to put these into the freezer so that I can have them in the long cold winter months here in the Chicago area. They can remind me of those few days when it was warm and sunny like today. All right, so I've got my chives ready to go. That is my first harvest. All right, the next harvest I'm gonna do is this cilantro. As you can see, this cilantro is getting nice and tall and feathery. It's actually not nice unless you want the seeds. So what's happening to the cilantro is it's getting too hot. So I'm gonna come in here and try to slow it down. First, I'm gonna harvest the greens that I know are the most tender and won't have those feathery leaves. So these are the ones I'm most interested in. So those are the thinner stems with the cilantro that we're used to eating. The trick with cilantro is cilantro likes to grow in cool weather. So it's harder to keep it going in the heat of the summer, and it's really starting to heat up here now. So I'm gonna harvest all of these cilantro leaves and put them here in my tray. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this bolting stem as well. These leaves aren't gonna taste as good, but I wanna keep this plant from going to seed at least for a few more weeks because I want more cilantro. All right, next up is sage. So sage is one of those herbs that grows really well, super easily in a garden. And I'm just gonna come in and cut each of these stems right above a leaf node. So I'm cutting at the top. What this is gonna do is encourage this plant to spread out and to grow more sage. So now it's a bunchier plant and I've got a little bit of sage to keep going in the kitchen. So I may cut one more bunch because that just doesn't feel like enough sage to me. You know what I'm saying? All right, so my roommate from college gave me a great recipe to make pasta with sage. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of sage for the flavor, but the smell is amazing. And so many people right now are into like burning sage. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you like make a little stick of sage and burn it to like give you good feelings in your house. Anyway, you could do that too because you can definitely grow enough sage to have sage all year round. So speaking of sage, there's one more sage plant here at the back. This is called Bergarten sage. So that one is culinary. And the Bergarten is, I find, a little bit more prolific. And I like it a little bit better because the leaves are wider. So I'm gonna cut from this one just the way I cut from the other one and use it similarly, but I wanna encourage more growth from my sage. So that's another one right there. So let me twine this one up. Now the next plant we're gonna cut from is parsley. So there's this argument about parsley. Have you heard about it? I had no idea till I became a garden coach that some people really don't like this kind of parsley. It's called curly parsley. I don't know what people have against it, but some people just don't like curly parsley. So this is curly parsley right here. I was first introduced to curly parsley by Jason's grandmother. She's from Armenia, and she made the most delicious fresh salad with curly parsley in it. It was so good. Now there's something white on here. I don't know what it is. Maybe bird poop or something. Who knows? So curly parsley to me is so flavorful. I love putting it into bouilli. I think is that what it's called. I got all these recipes from Jason's grandma. But when I started planting curly parsley in my clients' gardens for Rooted Garden, they got all up in arms because they didn't like curly parsley. I'm like, what's the deal? So they only like flat Italian parsley apparently. So I don't know, what team are you on? You'll have to tell me in the comments. Curly parsley or flat Italian parsley? I personally like both, but I love my curly parsley, and I find oftentimes that it grows a little bit easier sometimes than the flat Italian. It can hang on in hotter temperatures. So my tray is filling up. Can you tell? We still got a lot more to go, so let's keep going. The next thing that I'm gonna harvest is actually the flat Italian parsley. Well, you know what? Yeah, so I kind of tricked myself here. I actually have celery in here as well. So pretend like you can't see the celery and you can just see the parsley. So as you can tell, they are in the same plant family. So they grow together pretty well. And I ended up with these celery plants that I didn't know what to do with. So whether on team flat parsley or team curly parsley, you can literally have both because they like to grow the exact same way. So we'll put this one in our tray as well. Now, we still haven't even like scratched the surface of all the plants in this bed. And can you tell? Like, can you even tell that I harvested any of these? This is the fun part of growing herbs, is they are literally the best kind of cut and come again, because you can cut from them again and again and again. All right, back here we have oregano. That is one of my favorite herbs to grow in the garden. It comes back so easily, even after frost and cold. In Houston, for my clients, this grows year round. And here in the Chicago area, oregano is one of the very first herbs to come back after our horrible cold winters. So you can see how fresh and delicious this oregano is, and I'm gonna be able to enjoy oregano. I mean, this is enough right here to do several rounds of pizza sauce, spaghetti, whatever. You can even, if you're into like making oils and stuff, this is enough to start making oils. I don't know how to make oils, but if you did, you would have enough oregano to do it. All right, we're almost done. We've got so many other herbs, but I'm gonna wrap it up. We've got peppermint and basil and rosemary and thyme in here. So let me show you real quickly. Yes, I did plant mint in here. Yes, that was probably a bad idea. Mint will eventually take things over, but I just had this plant and I don't know, I just wanted to break the rules because I like doing that. But here's some mint. Generally, you'd want your mint to be all by itself. Then I'm gonna harvest a little bit of my rosemary. The rosemary is coming pretty slowly. This is what you call a trailing rosemary. So eventually the goal is that this is gonna trail over the side, and it's taken off pretty slow, as you can see. I probably need to water this a little bit more. So I'm gonna cut from this plant, and then over here, I've got another rosemary too. So I'm not gonna cut a ton. One key thing to remember is never harvesting more than a third of the plant at a time, because these plants have to photosynthesize. So if you take all their green at once, they're gonna be like, hey, wait, I need something to make food from. So the last thing we're gonna do is the basil. Now, I've been harvesting from the basil a lot. So you can see these little plants. I come out here like as often as possible because we're early on in the season. I love fresh basil. So there's not a lot to cut, but I'm gonna go in and cut just a few little tips. This will keep the plant producing, and it'll also be enough. I have some fresh tomatoes inside, so I'm gonna make a little bit, some mini little caprese salads for lunch. Oh, this one's actually nice. You can see this one up close. So here on this basil, we've got lots of growth happening. So what I'm gonna do is harvest right here, and this will encourage the plant to branch out. So I'll harvest right above that leaf node, and then we're gonna get nice branching. So this becomes a bushier plant rather than a tall, leggy plant. So that is the basil I'm gonna harvest, and I think that about wraps up all of my harvest for the day. So as you can see from this small little bed, I got all these herbs in just one cutting, and I could literally harvest this much probably 2 to 3 times a week, especially as the summer wears on. This bed is going to be producing a ton. So the key to herb success is understanding the way herbs grow, and that's why I created a training video to help you know how to have success in your own herb garden. You can even learn from me inside my herb garden guide how to build this exact planter and set it up just the way I did. My goal is that nobody buys herbs from the grocery store again, because as you know, I like to say leaves don't belong in a truck unless they're dead. So you need to have your herb leaves right outside your back door, and you can do it inside my herb garden guide. So check the link below. You can watch my free herb garden success secrets video and learn more about the herb garden guide. I hope that you feel inspired to grow your own herbs this summer. Now I'm gonna head inside and go make a caprese salad. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.